Hello and welcome back to the Self-Discovery channel. My name's Chris and I'm one of the founders of this channel. It's a journey start video today and we're going to be focusing on a completely new topic in section 2, which is humanism. So the main thing that we need to understand firstly is what it is. So in order to do that, we're going to look at a definition of humanism and we're going to pull it to pieces and we're going to kind of look at what people have thought of behind the meaning of humanism. Obviously, it's gone on for centuries and it's took a lot to put together into a couple of simple sentences. But it's a journey start video, so we'll only be doing it for 5 minutes and we're not going to make it complex. So, the definition of humanism is a doctrine or attitude or way of life centered on human interests or values. A philosophy that usually rejects anything that isn't real, anything that's supernatural, as something that won't help, and stresses an individual's dignity and worth. And also, it supports the capacity for self realization through reason. So, sounds quite simple in itself, but there's quite a lot going on behind that. So, why have we chosen humanism? Well, looking back at the issues initially when we put this channel together and looking at how we could best help, we want to support you by giving you as many tools as we can. So, humanism is a belief system that is science based that most philosophers, most psychologists, and most therapists all use. And the reason they use this is because it's science based, so it only looks at what's real. So it's only coming from the point of behavior, so only emotional. But any emotions that are real are emotions that we can see. So if somebody's sad, they will be sad, and we can say that person's sad because of the way that they behave. If we come with too much speculation, then we move away from valuing that individual because then we're kind of infecting that person's realness, their trueness, by choosing things that we believe that means. We don't need to do that. We don't need to interfere with people as they are. We just need to see them and understand in order to say, I can see that you are this type of human. And I also understand that that's only a very small part that you've chosen to share with me. But from what I can see, this is what I feel. And it's very important to keep that belief system when you're going through a psychological relationship or a philosophical relationship or a therapeutic relationship, because the belief is that people have the knowledge to self actualize, and all self actualization means, going back to our kind of first section on the self, is emotional balance and fulfillment. So, as Plato referred to, and Rogers, even Pema Chodron, they all believe, as humanists, that people have the capacity to reach their own emotional fulfillment. And in order to assist them with that, we've got to understand thoroughly who they are, how they see the world, how they emotionally behave. And once that is understood, quite often, just by having the facts repeated back to them, they can see their own story from a slightly different perspective. So you're almost an emotional mirror as a counselor or as a therapist or as a psychologist. You will only reflect what people say back to them. If you don't reflect it, if you change anything, then you are interfering with the trueness. So asking questions is a bit of a no-no. You know, sometimes in therapeutic relationships, especially in psychological relationships, questions are very important. But you'll find certainly in the initial meetings, or whenever you kind of speak to somebody and you really feel heard, you'll notice that there's a lack of questions. And that's because when you ask a question, you stop the person's flow that's telling you their story in order to extract parts of that story that you want further information on. And it might not be what that person wants to choose to tell you or wants to focus on in order to self heal. So sometimes just by removing the barrier of interference with opinion and question and that judgment and pressure, if you remove all of that and you just sit in a space with somebody and hear them fully and only repeat back to them what they've said to you, and it's a lot more complicated than that, but in essence, that's what happens. That is a relationship based on humanism. Carl Rogers created what was called the humanistic approach, for example, and he used all of the support from the humanistic belief system to put into practice a style of therapy that worked for a lot of people. So I know that that's a lot, but that's why we've chosen humanism, and that's what it is. It's a philosophical belief that emphasizes the individual. It supports human beings. It rejects anything that is thought or fiction, and it only focuses on fact. So things that you can see and hear as real. The focus is on an individual's dignity and worth. And also there is a focus on the capacity that all individuals have to heal themselves. So why did we say in the trailer that we believe you can heal yourself? Because there is quite a lot of evidence to show that you can. Now, often you've got to do that with support, but sometimes you don't. So that is more than enough for today. Thanks for listening. Chapter 2 is going to be defining humanism. So we're going to look at what we spoke about today in kind of parts. We're going to separate it into three, do it over 3 videos. But yeah, that is certainly longer than 5 minutes, but I hope it's been useful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.